There's no time like the present. No time. No time like the present. I think we're live. All right. Welcome back, everyone. 'Tis I, Lisa, also known as the AlkaliYogi. Hey, guys. Welcome. On this Monday afternoon on the 1st of May. We are continuing with our series today. You already know what time it is if you have been on my page or channel for some time. Hello, Chris. Welcome, greetings. We are decoding How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, Paul Chek's first book. As you may or may not know, I am at the Academy. I am a licensed and certified holistic practitioner. And still, greetings, Chris, and still in school very much at the Chek Institute, and wanting to use my platform as an opportunity to share with you all some of the codes so that you can either maintain your health or you can restore your health, because the powers that be are doing a phenomenal job of keeping you confused and dazed and not knowing what you should be doing, what you should be avoiding, et cetera, et cetera. And everyone's like, who do we look to then for health? Is it the people in white lab coats who are questionably healthy themselves or potentially corrupted? What other options are available to us? Well, let me just reassure you that you are designed to self-heal. And my job is just to remind you how to best support your vessel, which is your body, in order for your own healing. At the end of the day, no matter where we move, whether it be cities, counties, countries, the one address that's your address, whilst you're on this plane anyways, is this right here, is this vessel. So really good idea to know how to take care of it, how to ensure that you're getting adequate growth, repair, rest, and all that good stuff. So today, if you've been following along, you know that we have made it to chapter 14. So we've gotten through almost the entire book, right? And again, this is a great opportunity for those of you that don't have the ability to get these books right now. I have loads of health books in my library. I want to share them with you, and hopefully you'll share with me whatever resources you have. That's the great thing about this thing called social media, is we get to socialize. And I choose to socialize with you all in a matter that will help to empower you and to give you the tools that you need, again, to self-heal, because at least 85% of what people are now considering to be, common, we'll say, but definitely not normal when it comes to health matters, whether it be skin issues or autoimmune issues or high blood pressure or diabetes. None of this stuff is normal. None of it. It might be common, but it's not normal. And my job is in part to help remind you that it's not normal, and that you want to be healthy. You don't want to be a statistic. If being normal means being on par with, most of the people out here in the West who are on numerous types of medication, and, don't feel well, are foggy headed, lethargic, potentially overweight, then, as the kids would say, miss me with the norm. I would rather something else, right? So if you're in that category with me where you don't want to be a part of the norm, you don't think that it's normal to be on medications for the rest of your life, especially if you're still young and relatively young, then welcome. You're in the right place. You're in the right place for those codes, for remembering, because a lot of this stuff you already know intuitively to some degree. And you've probably just been confused because, again, the stimulus, the light, so to speak, is designed to do just that. It's designed to distract you and to make it too noisy for you to hear what's best for you. Because trust me when I tell you, ultimately, you know what's best for you. No matter what anyone else tells you, you're going to know what's best for you. So part of the journey back to health and wellness is to be able to strengthen and affirm that inner voice, that intuition, which can be quite subtle. It rarely is very loud and kind of yelling at, so that you can, again, from an informed place, say, thank you, I'm going to pass on said recommendation, and I'm going to do this instead because my intuition and my gut tells me that this is what I need for my own healing. And just like that, Bob's your uncle. See? Easy breezy, lemon peasy. So we're on chapter 14. And guess what chapter 14 touches on? Digestion. And I can tell you that as a holistic lifestyle coach and corrective exercise coach, this is a big one for us because most people are struggling with, sleep, digestion, right? Which, by the way, digestion starts the minute that you put something into your mouth. So the mastication process is technically part of your digestion. For me, I would even argue that digestion starts when you look at food and when you touch it and when you smell it. So any kind of interaction, because again, there's auras and information that's being exchanged between you and whatever it is that you're about to consume. And so I do think that your body's already intuitively able to communicate with you before you're about to ingest something, whether it be a piece of meat, hopefully organic and pasture fed, or whether it be you're about to partake in some cannabis in the form of an edible. Your body is going to tell you right from your gaze, from your smell, from your touch, before it even enters your body. You just have to be quiet enough, still enough, and in tune enough, but your body is already going to give you what I guess some people might refer to as a preview of what's to come. So stay posted on what's to come. Let's tune into your body. So digestion. Is your digestive system healthy? Well, let's get into that, shall we? Before we waste any more time. In addition to regular exercise, a commitment to good health includes eating responsibly and choosing the right foods. An improper diet can ruin a good digestive system. Perhaps you're eating quality food in accordance with your primal pattern type, also your metabolic type, but you're still not feeling your best. In order for a new eating plan to be effective, you have to be sure first and foremost that your digestive system is fully functional. There's a direct relationship between the health of your digestive system and your overall look, feel, and your physical performance. In this chapter, we will discuss the organs in the digestive system and the importance of keeping them healthy, common causes of poor digestion, healthy options for digestive distress, the importance of removing unnecessary stressors from your life and your diet, and lastly, the importance in restoring proper support to the digestive organs. So we've got quite a few things to cover. I reckon this chapter, not unlike nutrition, is going to be quite meaty because, again, your food is your medicine. As per Socrates, or excuse me, as per Hippocrates, food is your medicine. So let's treat it as such. Your digestive system, mouth. The digestive system process begins in the mouth. For optimal conversion of food to energy, elimination and prevention of unwanted fungi and parasite infestation, food should be chewed until liquefied. Who struggles here with that? I know I do. I could do a better job at liquefying my foods. If you remember, if you tuned in last week for the live, then I actually brought it up that we should be chewing our water, right? And drinking our food. Maybe you've heard this saying before. Whilst chewing, enzymes from saliva mix with food to break down carbohydrates. Proper chewing prepares food for digestion. Chewing too quickly and swallowing prematurely leaves food particles too large for stomach acids to break down and kill the parasites and fungi hiding inside. So I've just learned something new today, that in part you might have an exposure to fungi and parasites because you didn't chew enough, simply because you swallowed prematurely. That I did not know. I thought it had more to do with the food particles themselves, how they've been prepared, stored, and even cleaned, if you will. So I too am learning. Once unfriendly parasites reach the more alkaline small intestine, they can bury in to lay eggs. Large food particles also make it difficult for the small intestine to absorb food molecules and extract nutrients. If fungi enter your body through your mouth and survive the stomach, they often begin debilitating the immune system. Dun, dun, dun. So what have we learned in just like the first few minutes of this decoding of Paul Chek's amazing book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy? That you can introduce parasites and fungi to your body simply by not chewing enough. That's mad. Isn't that crazy? So again, empowering you. You have something to say here, don't you? And again, the fact that fungi is debilitating to the immune system. Now, some of you may already have known that. Again, very useful in helping you to overstand and understand how to make decisions about what's best for you. Stomach. Your food enters the stomach and mixes with additional enzymes and the HCI, hydrochloric acid. HCI produced by special cells in the stomach wall break down protein into amino acids for absorption in the small intestine. It also kills unfriendly bacteria, germs, fungi, and parasites. The ability to properly digest food in the stomach is dependent upon having adequate production of HCI and digestive enzymes. I keep forgetting to check myself in the morning. I need to also check myself because I have been known to have digestive issues. Like I said, most of us do. Nearly all food is absorbed in the small intestine through some, such as alcohol and refined sugars. Nearly all food is absorbed in the small intestine, though some, such as alcohol and refined sugars, are actually absorbed through the stomach. Small intestine, the SI. The SI is roughly 25 feet long, or 6 to 7 meters. Each section is lined with special receptor sites that absorb particular foods. Digestive enzymes from the pancreas and bile from the liver are released into the SI to aid in the digestion of foods. Once receptors have digested food, it's sent through the portal vein to the liver for processing. And from there, it is delivered to the cells of your body via the bloodstream to be converted into energy and to rebuild or repair your cells. Unwanted or undigestible food particles are sent to the colon for final processing before leaving the body. The large intestine, your colon. The colon is 5 to 6 feet long, so about 1.5 meters, and about 3 inches in diameter. The colon acts as a specialized organ for producing certain vitamins and for recycling useful water for the body. There are trillions of bacteria inside a healthy colon, some of which are friendly and some of which are not. The optimal ratio is about 85% friendly to 15% unfriendly. But many people today, and wait for it, many people actually have the reverse. So they have about 85% unfriendly bacteria and only about 15% friendly bacteria. Friendly bacteria initially come from mother's milk, making yet another argument for the benefits of breastfeeding. No surprise there. Friendly bacteria produce vitamins B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B12, and A and K. A as in apple, K as in kilo. They also produce a lactic acid byproduct that helps stimulate peristalsis, which is movement of the colon. If you imagine a toothpaste, peristalsis is kind of like when you press at the bottom of the toothpaste tube and then you see it move up to the front and it exits. That's kind of a similar, it's kind of a metaphor, if you will, for peristalsis. So this will prevent constipation and makes the environment, this prevents constipation, which would make the environment unfavorable or unfriendly for bacteria. Consuming poor quality food, especially processed foods, can create an alkaline environment in the colon that supports an overgrowth of unfriendly bacteria. Peristalsis is then disrupted, leading to constipation and an even more favorable environment for the unfriendly bacteria and parasites. A backed up colon is a toxic colon. When the body is dehydrated, the colon squeezes as much water as it can from the feces. This results in both constipation and the absorption of toxic fluids into the bloodstream. Yuck. This is how your body overcompensates, though, in order to keep you alive. Because your body, being a part of nature, coming from Mother Nature, which is the universe, is constantly conspiring for you. This is no different. The poopy lineup and poopy policeman. You guys ready? Now it gets to be a little bit more playful. I developed the poopy lineup and poopy police to teach clients and their children how to recognize symptoms of dehydration, poor digestion, and toxicity. Ancient physicians relied primarily on the physical and emotional symptoms, along with the feces and urine of their patients, to make a diagnosis. How far we've come in such a short amount of time. They'd smell the feces, examine it, break it open, and search for undigested food particles, worms, blood, mucus, tissue particles, and any other indicator of internal imbalance. Ancient physicians usually tasted urine for excess sugar and the level of acidity. Whilst your doctor isn't likely to grovel around your stool or taste your urine today, there's a lot you can learn about your digestion through self-examination. Once again, here are the tools that you have come for. The poopy policeman represents a healthy bowel movement, and for a bowel movement to qualify, a poopy policeman, it must be well-shaped and consistent in contour. Have you taken a look at your stool sample recently? Can you say that it is well-shaped and consistent in contour? Pass easily and pleasurably. Be light brown in color. Smell natural, almost earthy, not foul. And float, yet doesn't require multiple attempts to flush. That is healthy poo. How many of you out there can say that's what you're experiencing? Here is a diagram. We've seen different examples of stool samples and what they could potentially look like. And you want to look like the poopy policeman, standing upright, for my YouTube folks. This is a great one for kiddos too, right? Paul Chek tells us that oftentimes people will take this image, print it, and actually post it in the toilet so that the kids can have a look and tell you if there's something off about their poop. Perhaps it's a good idea. I don't know. Still out on that one, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to go through the various different types of poops as outlined here, get into a little bit more into what this could be telling you about your current health and digestion. If your poop looks like anything but the poopy policeman standing upright, take notes. Do you have the flasher? The flasher gives you a peek at the undigested food particles in your stool. It's not normal to see food particles in your stool, as it's a sign of food intolerance or an inflammatory disorder of the digestive system. Diarrhea, or diarrheas, as it's playfully called and referred to in this book. Diarrhea's crime is one of passion. It's the body's desperate attempt at detoxification. Even if you're constipated and dehydrated, your body will scavenge extra water to remove toxins from your body. If you fluctuate between constipation and diarrhea once a month or more within a 1-year period, it's time to reevaluate your diet. Pellet man. Here we go. Pellet poop resembles rabbit or sheep manure and may indicate altered states between peristalsis of the colon, and dehydration. The bodybuilder. Bodybuilder poops are often larger in diameter than a poopy policeman, and they are hard to pass. Such bowel movements sometimes come from eating too much dehydrated and processed foods, especially protein bars and shakes, which you can find at most gyms, unfortunately. Let me just remind everyone here, that a snack is also a piece of fruit. So rather than reaching for that bar or something that's been packaged in cellophane, you could always take an apple, you could always take a banana, perhaps a tangerine, a pear, right? There are always options available. Or better still, perhaps you have a mixed fruit bowl that you can just carry with you in some glass Tupperware. So those are always options. Olympic swimmer. Lighter in color than the poopy policeman due to its high content of undigested fat. I call Olympic swimmers because they are difficult to flush. The Olympic swimmer may indicate a deficiency in bile, which breaks down fats. So if you're having plumbing issues, those plumbing issues might in fact have to do with your digestive system and the quality of poop which you're passing. Mr. Sinker and Stinker. This means this mean little bowel bandit often appears after being exposed to processed foods, a toxic environment, or medical drugs, particularly after undergoing a surgical procedure where general anesthesia was used. Mr. Sinker and Stinker is one of the meanest little fellas you'll ever encounter in the bathroom. And if he's yours, he's very hard to get rid of. And if he's not, his smell is enough to make your hair stand on its end. If Mr. Sinker and Stinker comes to call, take steps to detoxify your body. Common causes of poor digestion, symptoms of digestive dysfunction, gas, bloating, headache, burping, reflux, neck, shoulder, middle, and lower back pain, fatigue after eating, abdominal distension, constant hunger, bowel irregularity, and muscle and joint aches. So many of these things, people are just like, oh, it's common, therefore it's normal. Again, I repeat to you, just because it's common doesn't make it normal. So if you're having gas and bloating and you're feeling constipated, these are not normal signs of a healthy digestive system. Pay attention. Even you belching and burping is really your body telling you, what you just put inside of me, yeah, that was a no-go. I didn't love that. So don't think that belching is just a good sign of, oh, you're satisfied and you've, eaten your full share, and you've done your part. Yeah. No, it's actually quite the contrary. It's your body telling you, no, don't do that again. This is really difficult on me. I'm struggling to break this down. And you're probably going to see other symptomology as well, right? All the way through to the stool. So please keep in mind that that which is common is not and shouldn't be considered normal. Number 1, dehydration. For normal physiological and digestive processes to occur, you must consume adequate amounts of water. I recommend at least half your body weight in ounces of water per day. So we've done this before, guys, ladies and gentlemen. If you weigh 100 pounds, you would take that 100 pounds, divided by 2, that would give you the number 50, convert that into then ounces. So your correct or adequate, if you will, consumption of water would be approximately 50 ounces a day. That is the formula. Please sort yourselves out and drink accordingly. Remember, you can go up to to a gallon, of course, of preferably spring water, right? That's naturally alkaline, because it's a great way to detoxify. After all, the best solution to pollution is dilution. Simple, right? A dry mouth is an indication that you're dehydrated and your digestion will be compromised. It will be affected. The first physical act of digestion, chewing food, begins in the mouth and requires the production of saliva. Saliva contains digestive enzymes that begin the breakdown of foods, especially carbohydrates. If you're dehydrated and cannot adequately produce saliva, foods won't be prepared for further digestion in the stomach and intestines. Once dehydrated, the body will scavenge water from vital organs such as the central nervous system. But the body will draw water from the mucous membrane in the stomach and the small and large intestines, organs that play a key role in the digestive process. As food enters the stomach, HCl, hydrochloric acid, is released to break down proteins. Dehydration robs the moisture, leaving it unprotected from HCl, which is acidic. It's enough to burn a hole through the carpet and most certainly capable of causing ulcers. Pain associated with this process commonly causes reflex inhibition of the abdominal muscles, causing susceptibility to injury during physical exertion due to inefficient spine stabilization. And just like that, we are reminded that the body is a system of systems. And you've not heard me say this for a while, but what an opportune time to remind you all that there is no separation. Everything is integrated and everything is connected. So your digestive system impacts your ability to stabilize your core and spine. Isn't that something? There's beauty in that when you look at it. Everything, again, being this really delicate web that's always connected, always in communication with each other and with with entities outside of our immediate selves as well. So it's pretty special, I reckon. Antacids are a common treatment for indigestion and heartburn, though there are unwanted consequences. And antacids, for example, contain high levels of aluminum. Ha! Interesting. Didn't know that. I've learned something new. Which is toxic and suspected to be a cause of Alzheimer's disease. Consuming antacids also inhibits optimal breakdown of proteins before they enter the SI. Aside from water, most of your body is comprised of proteins and fats. If proteins necessary for repairing cells are not properly broken down, they're less likely to be absorbed. The body will then begin to break down its own proteins from muscle. Heartburn is a sign of dehydration and should not be treated as an isolated condition. And here we have again a reminder of why it's important to understand holistic health. Because if you take your heartburn situation, to your doctor, to your MD, who I'm sure she or he, I'm sure is great, they're going to tell you exactly that. Take some antacid. They're not going to tell you, well, we need to look at your digestion, right? There's something off. You're probably consuming something to which you're having a negative response towards, and or you're dehydrated. When does that even happen now with a doctor, that they would actually go down this rabbit hole with you and actually trace the symptomology back to its root cause, as opposed to just addressing the symptomology which you appeared with today during your doctor's visit? Do you know what I mean? So you can see how we've really just like stopped the buck short, and we're not going beyond the initial, oh, you've got heartburn, you say. Well, we've got something for that, as opposed to, when did it start? What did you eat? Have you been drinking adequate amounts of water? Are you stressed? What else is going on in your life that may have caused you to get to this point, to experience said symptomology? So this is why you want to have a holistic approach, because your MDs, as well intentioned as they may be, are simply no longer doing these things anymore. In addition to drinking at least 1/2 of your body weight in ounces each day, I recommend 16 ounces about 15 minutes prior to each meal to ensure proper hydration. So again, just like last week, a gentle reminder that you don't mix your solids with your liquids, meaning when you're eating your foods, you shouldn't be drinking. And subsequently, when you're drinking, you shouldn't be eating. There should be a separation. Now, Paul Chek says it's a 15-minute separation. I've actually told my clients closer to 20 minutes, up to 30 minutes. You shouldn't be drinking and eating at the same time. This is extremely disruptive to your digestive system. But it seems his demarcation is a minimum of 15 minutes. So drink 15 minutes prior to your meal or 15 minutes after your meal, but do not drink with your meal. Okay? Makes sense? And that's to, again, aid with your overall digestion. Adding a pinch of sea salt to each liter of bottle of water will increase absorption of water as well as aid in HCI production. I've already added sea salt to my water, and I've blessed it, as should you, if you have read Hidden Messages in Water, one of the greatest books I've ever read by Master Emoto, the great Master Emoto. Highly recommended. So being aware also that what you impart energetically into the food, and beverages considered food, will have an impact in your overall health and your digestive system. So it never hurts. Can't hurt, might help, as one of my former mentors used to say. Can't hurt, might help, to impart gratitude. Always thoughts of positivity before you're about to ingest anything. And this, I can assure you, has nothing to do with religion. It is just merely connecting with energy and keeping things at a higher vibrational frequency. When the mucous membrane of the colon is dehydrated, the goblet cells are unable to do their job of providing the necessary amount of lubricating mucus. This makes bowel movements hard to pass, and it leads to constipation. This is compounded by the fact that one of the primary jobs of the colon is to recycle water from feces as needed. Dehydration on any level will therefore result in the colon squeezing more fluid from your feces, This water-reducing mechanism was surely necessary during our developmental years as hunter-gatherers, whilst on long hunts or treks in nomadic conditions where water may not have been available. But today, there is no excuse for not consuming recommended quantities of H2O. And on that note, I'm going to take pause and hydrate myself. Cheers. Symptoms for toxicity include fatigue, headaches, low back pain, asthma, gastrointestinal upset, acne, rash, or other skin problems, pain between the shoulder blades, pain in upper right abdominal region, sciatica, pain down the back of the leg. Wow, this gets more interesting as we go along. Allergies and food intolerance, eye, ear, nose, and throat problems, nervousness, arthritis, neck pain, and cardiac irregularities. All of these can be traced back to toxicity. And yet, most people out here in the general public are definitely challenged with one or more of these quote unquote common pathologies or symptoms, which might be common but should never be considered normal. So, something to think about, guys. Toxic bowel. Another cause of poor digestion is a toxic bowel. This often results from constipation or an inferior diet of processed foods. If you experience any symptoms of toxicity, consider changing your diet. Review chapters 3 and 4, which I have covered in great detail in prior lives, so you could always go back to that source. The most common culprits that lead to a toxic state are processed foods, pasteurized dairy products, processed juices. That's the cheap stuff, guys, made from concentrate. Dehydrated fats, tap water. Oh, look at that. Caffeine and drug use, recreational and medical drugs. Constipation. There are conflicting definitions of constipation. I tell clients they should feel a sense of complete evacuation after a bowel movement and that they should be moving about 12 inches of feces per day. This can be done as 1 12-inch bowel movement or 2 6-inch, 3 4-inch, etc. So you can break it down basically however you see fit, but roughly you want to get to about 12. I do think that now that number is increased to about 12 to 24 inches, but don't quote me. At least seek that minimum 12 inches of elimination daily. That should at the very least be your target. A body that is continually constipated will become toxic. If food remains in the garbage for several days, it rots and it smells foul. Imagine this process occurring inside your warm, wet intestines. When undigested food remains there for more than 24 hours, bacteria that would otherwise remain dormant and be expelled along with other waste matter may become active. This bacteria feeds on undigested remains and produces toxic waste, creating an alkaline environment. This alkaline state inhibits peristalsis. Peristalsis, once again, is the rhythmic waves of contraction of the digestive muscles that push food along the colon and triggers bowel movement. Toxins from these unfriendly critters can seep through a dehydrated mucous membrane. This puts a tremendous load on the liver and the kidneys as they strive to keep these toxins out of the blood. The liver then works day and night to neutralize toxic seepage, all the while searching for water to put back into the system for myriad water-dependent physiological functions. You might be wondering how you can eat 3 or more meals a day and not be eliminating much. Well, the answer is water. The answer is water composes 70 to 90% of foods. One of the colon's roles is to extract water from fecal matter for use elsewhere in the body. In a water deficient person, the colon will squeeze as much water from the feces as possible, leaving the colon compacted in the colon, thus the saying, you are what you don't excrete. Dun, dun, dun. No bueno. No bueno, no bueno. Processed foods. Today, many foods are so highly processed that the receptors in the eyes, in the SI, and the antibodies of the immune system do not recognize them as foods. Isn't that something? Processed foods will disrupt proper function within the digestive system. Whilst many are oblivious to the source of their excessively loose or irregular stools, the problem is literally right under their noses. In other words, most people are consuming processed foods that contain a disturbing number of chemical additives, preservatives, and colorings, not to mention stabilizers and emulsifiers. There are over 4,000 chemicals used in food processing, a great number of which are recently invented concoctions. Okay, this is not terribly encouraging, is it? But it is, though, because we are empowered to eat real food, the stuff that doesn't come in cellophane wrappers, right? Remember the stuff that comes from soil? Real food. That's still available, thankfully. Our immune system sees these nasty chemicals as invaders, and when the immune system reacts to these chemicals, it works with the body via the intestinal tract to dilute and remove them, thus the appearance of diarrhea. If processed foods are not flushed out of the body by the immune system's reaction, they may then cause constipation. The chemicals and sugar in processed foods often cause a stress response in the body. With increased sympathetic action, processes such as digestion and elimination are slowed. This results in decreased peristalsis, which, as indicated earlier, leads to, wait for it, constipation and a toxic colon. Aside from being potentially toxic and carcinogenic, many of these food processing chemicals are irritants to the gastrointestinal system. You may say, yeah, but I don't often eat those kinds of chemicals. But actually, in reality, you probably do. The US Food and Drug Administration, good old FDA, does not require manufacturers to include additives on the labels of food that are considered exempt from labeling, such as ketchup and mayonnaise. The package need only say artificially flavored, artificially sweetened, or contains artificial coloring. The average person consumes about 150 pounds in dry weight of these chemicals each year. Non-organic dairy products contain residual amounts of hormones, antibodies, and pesticides from feed ingested by the animals that we eat. Many dairy products today are also colored with dyes. Non-organic butters and cheeses often contain yellow dye number 6, which nearly all of my clients who have taken food additive tests discover they are allergic to. And yet it's been approved by the FDA. Good thing these guys have got so much integrity and can't be bought or purchased. To make matters worse, milk is so badly damaged by pasteurization and homogenization that it is no longer a food. The heat of pasteurization kills the lactase enzymes that naturally break down lactose in milk. During the 1940s, Dr. Francis Marion Pottenger Jr. performed extensive studies on the effects of processed milk on the health of cats and humans. His study, Pottenger's Cats, revealed that when cats were fed any form of processed milk, they quickly developed significant health problems. By the 4th generation, the cats were unable to reproduce. Pregnant pause. I'm going to reread that one back to you all, yeah? In his study, Pottenger's Cats revealed that when cats were fed any form of processed milk, they quickly developed significant health problems. And by the 4th generation, the cats were unable to reproduce. Not only did Dr. Pottenger see very similar symptoms in his patients who consumed cooked milk products, he continued his study by raising dwarf beans in the soil from under the pens of cats fed different foods in his study. This soil was fertilized by the droppings from the cats. The dwarf beans grown in the soil from under the cages that housed cats fed processed milks products grew crooked and were malformed. I'm speechless. On the other hand, the dwarf beans grown in the soil from under the cages of cats fed only raw milk products and raw foods were not only extremely healthy, these dwarf beans grew to be 6 feet tall in some instances. If you consume dairy products, make sure that they are organic and preferably raw. Processed juices. Whew. Processed juices suffer the same fate as processed milk. Natural enzymes sensitive to temperatures above 108 degrees Fahrenheit or 42 degrees centigrade are killed during pasteurization. These enzymes, like those in raw milk, aid in the digestion, making the nutrients more available to your body as an energy source. Cooking the juice, which is necessary for shelf life, also damages most of the vitamins and other sources of macronutrients that naturally occur in fresh juices, vegetables, and freshly squeezed juices. Once the nutrients are destroyed, you're essentially left with sugar water, which is commonly enriched with synthetic vitamins. Without proper nutrients, your body has to draw from other resources to run the metabolic pathways to digest the juice and detoxify the waste products. When you drink large quantities of processed juice, you set yourself up for indigestion. When deficient in natural enzymes, the body is unable to properly digest sugars. This provides a tasty treat for unfriendly bacteria, parasites, and yeast to feed on. These unwanted creatures also have to poop. Their excrement is highly toxic and not only stresses your liver and kidneys, but also your immune system. Fats. As discussed in chapter 3 and 4, fats are essential as part of your diet, your healthy diet. How much fat you should consume really does depend on your metabolic type or primal pattern, which, if you're unaware of what that is, you could always reach out to me for testing. Also, be aware of the quality of the fats that you eat. Far too many dehydrated or partially dehydrated fats, most often found in processed foods and foods from fast food restaurants, are consumed today. When damaged from the heat of processing, the structure of these bad fats, actually resembles plastic more than fat. Therefore, they're very hard, if not impossible, to digest. Whenever you eat more fat than your system can handle, you'll produce excessive bile to break it down. The excessive bile production stimulates peristalsis of the intestinal tract and can cause diarrhea. Diarrhea due to excessive fat is evident when you only see an oily film in the toilet after a bowel movement. Tap water. The Healthy Water Report by Dr. Martin Fox stated that over 2,100 organic and inorganic water contaminants, drinking water contaminants, have been identified in the U.S. drinking water supply since 1974. Out of these, 190 of these contaminants have confirmed adverse health effects. Whilst tap water is convenient, it's not a good idea to drink it in most cities. Many public water supplies have chlorine added to kill bacteria. Unfortunately, chlorine kills all bacteria that are not immune to it. This includes good bacteria in your gut as well as the bad bacteria in the water. Many notice a big improvement in their bowel habits after drinking water from a high-quality filter system that removes chlorine, or by switching to top-quality bottled water such as Evian, Vital, Trinity, Fiji, or Eternal Springs. I think I'm going to stop there for today, guys. Let's see. You know what? Let's finish this off, actually. Let's finish off caffeine and stress, and then we'll pick up where we leave off next week. Caffeine. Caffeine is found in the leaves, in the seeds, or fruits of more than 60 different plants, including cola nuts, mat leaves, guarana, and coffee beans. It is commonly found in chocolate, and it is a flavoring agent in many cola beverages. Coffee has been used in enemas for almost as long as doctors have been writing about medicine. It does a good job of purging the colon because it's an irritant and it stimulates the gastric secretion. When coffee comes in contact with the lining of the intestinal tract, peristalsis is stimulated because the body is trying to eliminate it. There's really no point at which coffee stops becoming an irritant to your intestinal tract. Whilst many enjoy the stimulating effects of caffeine, it is extremely addictive. And aside from causing loose stools, it's a diuretic. As discussed above, diarrhea alone will dehydrate you, but toss in a diuretic that also produces loose stools, and now you are really in trouble. If you have problems with loose stools or diarrhea, try eliminating coffee for 48 hours and see if your bowel habits improve. Note: replacing coffee with teas like yerba mate will minimize caffeine withdrawals whilst not irritating the digestive tract. Stress, kind of a big one. Stress levels in modern society are at an all-time high. In chapter 11, we discussed the many effects that stress has on our body. Stress disrupts our digestion by activating the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, which leads to a decrease in the digestive process. The sympathetic nervous system's main function is to prepare you to fight or flight. So it's trying to keep you alive and worried less about breaking down food. These days, the stress response is activated for a variety of reasons that mostly come down to a primal need for safety. When you start your day by rushing to prepare for work or school, the digestive system shuts down, and this often results in constipation. If you're too busy to stop work for a good meal at midday, stress levels further escalate. Finally, after battling traffic, you return home for dinner just in time to watch the news, and the process repeats itself. It's easy to get jacked up hearing about the crazy things happening in the world whilst you chomp away with your head turned to one side, staring in amazement. You get up feeling uncomfortably full, and it's no surprise. You've had 3 meals today, and none of them have come out of the back yet. You have created your own traffic jam. Over time, digestion becomes progressively challenged, and when your body senses that the garbage is not being taken out, it doesn't want any more coming in. Soon you'll have a perpetual sense of fullness, but still feel hungry because your body is lacking in nutrients. And that's where we're going to end for today. That was part 1 of chapter 14. Chapter 14 titled, we've gotten through, Is Your Digestive System Healthy? And that you can find in this wonderful book, Paul Chek's How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. So there you have it, folks. We ended off there for today. So we will pick up at I guess I'm digesting. Page 222 when we pick up again in 1 week's time. Hope you've enjoyed it. As always, please let me know in the comments. Reach out if you need anything. Share, like, all that good stuff. And until next time, get free and stay free. Bye.